damn good at it, and we get our man.
It was the biggest gold heist in Canadian history. Tonight, police say they found the men responsible for it, but finding the missing gold may be a different story. Good evening. Police say it was an inside job that saw $20 million worth of gold and more than $2 million in cash disappear from a cargo warehouse at Pearson Airport.
1 year after the heist, law enforcement from both sides of the border showed off the results of an investigation that has led to the arrest of 6 people, with police still looking for 4 more. CTV's Raheem Ladani is live tonight with the details. Raheem.
Michelle and Nathan, good evening. This investigation was dubbed Project 24 Carat. And a year after this historic heist, yes, several arrests have been made, but only a fraction of the gold has been found.
What are we stealing?
While it may sound like a Hollywood blockbuster movie, the largest gold heist in Canadian history was anything but fiction. And we now know the starring suspects are all from the Greater Toronto area.
This one is a carefully planned and well-organized group of criminals from both inside and outside of airport facilities that orchestrated this theft.
Police say it was an inside job that started when this man, 25-year-old Jontay McLean of Brampton, showed up to the Air Canada cargo warehouse at Toronto's Pearson International Airport on April 17, 2023. He presented this airway bill, which was actually for a shipment of seafood that was picked up the day before the heist, but a duplicate copy was printed inside the airport by an employee.
A short time later, a forklift arrived with a container of gold and foreign currency and loaded it into the rear of the suspect's truck.
6,600 gold bars weighing 400 kilograms, valued at $20 million, along with an additional $2.5 million in Canadian cash, made its way west on Highway 401 before heading north of Milton. More than 4 months after the heist, police got a break. South of the border, McLean was pulled over by a state trooper in Pennsylvania for a minor traffic violation. That's when they discovered 65 stolen and automatic guns.
Court-authorized search warrant for the vehicle led to the recovery of those firearms that were allegedly destined to be smuggled into Canada.
Police in Peel Region believe those guns were bought with profit from the gold heist. Their investigation also leading to the recovery of the white truck, more than $400,000, 6 pure gold bracelets, and tools commonly used to melt gold. While McLean is in U.S. police custody on firearms trafficking charges, Peel police have arrested these 5 men. One, an Air Canada employee, another, a jewelry store owner. They've also issued Canada-wide warrants for 3 other men, including a former Air Canada employee.
But these criminals thought they were more sophisticated than police. They were wrong.
To date, still only a fraction of the $20 million worth of stolen gold has been recovered, and police admit they likely won't find it all.
We believe the gold has been melted down and reconstituted into local and possibly international markets. It can be done, unfortunately, fairly easy, and that's what we're trying to find out.
Adding their investigation is far from complete. Air Canada confirms that 2 of the identified men were working in their cargo division at the time of the heist. One of them resigned last year. The other has been suspended. Reporting live, I'm Raheem Ladani. Andrea and Nathan, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Raheem. It's not quite as expensive as gold, but the price of gas is going up tonight.
Drivers can expect to see a 14-cent increase overnight, putting the price of gas to the highest point we've seen since August of 2022. CTV's Beth McDonald is live tonight with more. Beth.
Nathan, it's a busy night to fill up. The station I'm at right now has gas at $1.61 a liter, and if analysts are right, after midnight it will be $1.75 a liter. People are packing in at the pumps.
This is outrageous. Look at the lineup of cars. Why are they all here? Do something. The government's got to wake up.
Filling up to save before a looming price hike not seen in nearly 2 years.
It's ridiculous. 14 cents in one day? Oh my God, I didn't know that. Thank you for letting me know. I'm going to fill up the tank now.
The double-digit increase per liter is predicted by Canadians for Affordable Energy and is expected to jump at midnight.
These are very extraordinary events. We're seeing these prices move up dramatically, and as a result, I think we can expect that inflation will certainly be impacted by this.
One reason for the increase, the switch from a winter to a summer blend of gas.
Now, as we've made the transition towards summer gasoline, inventories are very tight. Keep in mind, refineries also doing maintenance right now, which is constricting supply.
15 cents is an expensive blend. I think it's nuts.
Canadians for Affordable Energy previously warned the blend switchover, combined with the carbon tax increase April 1st and the rising price of oil, would create elevated prices in the spring and summer. But with the rising cost of just about everything, motorists want relief.
Not surprised. With the way markets are and the world, everything that's going on, definitely not surprised that it went up, but a little bit ticked off that the government's not helping us with this.
And a 14-cent hike for gas feels just too high. The analyst with Gas Buddy expects prices to be on the higher end until after the May long weekend, when we may see a little break. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonald. Now back to the desk.
Thank you, Beth. Ahead on CTV News tonight, a Toronto Raptor has been banned from the league. Jontay Porter's gambling has led to a lifetime suspension. CTV's Mike Walker will have reaction from the team and fans.
But first, we turn our attention to the sky. A live look outside showing clouds abound on what has been a rainy day across the region, on and off, and there's more to come. Jessica Smith is here with a look at the current conditions. What are you seeing, Jess?
The rain has let up a little bit as we've made our way into the early part of our evening, but the wind has not. Still really breezy out there, and there's another wave of showers coming as we get in towards kind of the midpoint of our night. We're still looking at a number of severe thunderstorm watches in place from Windsor right through to London. We've got a lot of instability in the air. The chance for hail is always there when we have systems like this. Temperature-wise through the island and Pearson right now, both sitting right around 7, but it's the wind gust towards the island just over 70 kilometers an hour. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast, including when we see some relief from all this messy weather. But right now, I'll send things back over to Michelle.
Thank you, Jess. Later on CTV News, worries about water quality. Tonight, concerns over plans to close more than half of the province's water testing sites, why some fear it could lead to another Walkerton-style outbreak.
He gambled and lost big. Jontay Porter is no longer a member of the Toronto Raptors or a player in the NBA.
Today, the league announced a lifetime ban after allegations he gambled on his own team and faked illness or injury for the purpose of betting. CTV's Mike Walker is live tonight with a reaction from both the team and their fans. Mike.
Well, fans we've been speaking with today say they are disappointed and also express some disgust with what has happened from that's come out of this investigation. The Toronto Raptors stating that they fully support the league's decision.
Winning time. Jontay Porter's NBA career is over. The Raptors' backup center banned for life following a probe into gambling allegations.
We don't want this for our league.
Raptors president Masai Ujiri spoke about the NBA's investigation shortly before the ban was issued.
My first reaction is obviously surprise because none of us, I don't think anybody saw anything like this coming.
The league launched the investigation after suspicious bets were brought to its attention by licensed sports betting operators and an organization that monitors legal betting markets. The investigation found that Porter disclosed information about his own health to a sports bettor ahead of the Raptors' March 20th game against Sacramento. It also found that he limited his performance in one or more games for sport betting purposes, and that Porter placed at least 13 bets on NBA games between January and March through an associate's online account. The payout for those games was more than $76,000, with net winnings of nearly $22,000.
It's more transparent, so you can catch these players.
This sports legal analyst says Porter's actions undermine the entire integrity of the game.
Why do we go to games? Because the outcome is not predetermined or fixed. And once that's brought into question, the entire integrity of a game becomes undermined.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said in a statement, "There is nothing more important than protecting the integrity of NBA competition for our fans, our teams, and everyone associated with our sport, which is why Jontay Porter's blatant violation of our gaming rules are being met with the most severe punishment." The league says Porter never placed bets on games he played in, fans expressing disappointment.
It's pretty bad, and he's purposely performing bad to make money himself when he's already making so much money.
It is kind of disappointing to see, though. Like, it shouldn't be really happening, especially while you're a professional athlete.
TSN's Josh Lewingberg believes this will impact the player vetting process by teams.
This is just another layer of things to look for because, again, this isn't going away. This is maybe the first incident.
The Raptors standing by their vetting of Porter.
From all the reports and everything we had, I think this was nothing we could know about.
The NBA says its investigation remains open and it will continue to share information with federal prosecutors. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. A woman is fighting for her life in hospital after being struck by a vehicle in Richmond Hill. It happened on Elgin Mills Road between Bathurst and Yonge shortly before 9:30 last night. The woman was taken to hospital in critical condition. The driver of the vehicle involved remained at the scene. So far, there's been no word on whether charges will be laid.
Ontario Provincial Police have seized large quantities of cocaine and firearms as part of a drug trafficking investigation. The OPP says its guns and gang enforcement team and Montreal police identified drugs being transported between Toronto and Montreal and the surrounding area. In March, they executed 2 search warrants on a vehicle and home on Riddell Avenue in Toronto. They say they seized around 60 kilograms of cocaine and 13 of methamphetamine alongside 20 firearms, thousands of rounds of ammunition and related items. 35-year-old Bradley Nelson of Whitby faces a combined 68 drugs and weapons charges. And multi-platform writer Catherine de Klerk has more details on this investigation and all the items seized. You can find her coverage on our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Toronto police are asking for your help finding a man wanted in a sexual assault case in North York. On Sunday at around 2:30, this suspect is accused of following a victim into an elevator near Dufferin and Lawrence. Police say he then sexually assaulted the victim and left. If you recognize him, you're asked to contact investigators or Crime Stoppers.
Both the Crown and the defense have made their final pitches to the jury in the first-degree murder trial of Umar Zamir.
He's the man accused of running over and killing a Toronto police officer in the City Hall Parkade. CTV John Woodward was in court and joins us live with the very latest. John.
Nathan, the jury was presented with 2 very different portraits of Umar Zamir. One, a man who ran down an officer head-on, and the other, a man who was scared for his family. Given the quality of this video, it only offers clues to the jury as to what happened in the City Hall Parkade just after Canada Day 2021, when Constable Jeffrey Northrup was run over by the BMW driven by Umar Zamir. The Crown has alleged this was an intentional act, and Zamir should be found guilty of first-degree murder, telling the jury that Zamir made choices to drive, to speed, and those choices killed, saying he never stopped despite repeated requests to do so. He took Officer Northrup's life as he accelerated in that laneway. She said the 3 other officers in the parkade that night testified they approached Zamir's car looking for a stabbing suspect, identifying themselves as police, pointing to pictures that showed their badges were visible. The officers testified Zamir drove at Northrup, who held up his badge and was hit head-on by Zamir's car, even though there were no dents on the car, and that can't be seen on the video. Defense lawyer Nader Hassan hammered into those officers' credibility, saying they lied to cast their actions that night in a positive light, their testimony too similar when it didn't match the physical evidence. He said, "These are officers you can't believe. They lied, they colluded, and lied about colluding. They lied to this court unapologetically." Zamir, who was visiting Toronto for Canada Day with his family, testified he didn't recognize the plainclothes officers as police, and when he was boxed in by an unmarked car, decided he had to flee with his wife and 2-year-old son. He said he only felt a speed bump with no idea it was Northrup. He said he asked his wife to call 911 and then was slammed into by an unmarked police car, arrested at gunpoint, and hit in the face. Hassan said, "I'm sure you can understand the reaction of a normal human being when they feel like their spouse and child are in danger. People don't expect police to take aggressive action to detain them when they've done nothing wrong." Both Crown and defense experts agreed Northrup was likely knocked over as Zamir reversed, one testifying Northrup fell into the blind spot of the car. Though in the close, the Crown asked the jury to consider that Northrup was hit head-on just outside of the frame of this video. The Crown said the witness officer's testimony was honest, just mistaken as to where that impact happened, and that there's no way a 299-pound officer could be mistaken for a speed bump. The defense closed with what it called a big unanswered question, which is why would an accountant with no record out with his family suddenly try to kill a police officer? Now, the jury has several options. They are not just limited to first-degree murder conviction and acquittal. There's also second-degree murder and manslaughter that they can consider, and exactly how they get there and what standards are required is what the judge is going to tell them with instructions tomorrow. Reporting live, I'm John Woodward. Back to you.
Thank you, John. There are concerns tonight over proposed plans to close a number of the province's water testing sites.
The move could see some homeowners paying for water testing that is currently done at no cost. And some worry it could lead to another Walkerton-style outbreak. CTV's Siobhan Morris reports.
The predictions are bleak, haunted by memories of disasters past.
They're going to end up with people being sick, and unfortunately, if it's like Walkerton, people dying.
MPPs and workers at Ontario's public health labs are trying to prevent the closure of 6 of the province's 11 water testing sites. The consolidation plan recommended in 2017 and again in December by the then acting Auditor General. At the time, a lack of sustainable funding was noted.
We're seeing crisis by design, enforcing the possible closure of these sites.
The auditor notes that many labs ship out more tests than they perform in-house, up to 91%. The warning from lab techs is we may not get the best results if samples have even further to travel.
If you close a rural community like Thunder Bay and you ship to Sudbury, that's 11 hours. That could very well compromise those tests.
The proposal includes phasing out free testing for people using private wells for water, transitioning to paying $150 a test.
If people aren't able to buy food, what's the likelihood they're going to test their water unless their water tastes bad or looks discolored?
If labs do close, OPSEU warns
outbreaks could go unchecked. We could have another Walkerton disaster.
7 people died and more than 2,000 became ill.
In the spring of 2000, Walkerton was hit by tragedy, its water system infected with E. coli, a disaster an inquiry found could have been prevented had the water been properly chlorinated and had environmental funding not been slashed.
We are investing in our public health units. We are investing in our lab techs.
When it comes to consolidation,
the ministry has not made any decisions about changes to the provincial well water testing programs, including which laboratories conduct testing or water samples.
If there are closures and when another pandemic strikes, lab techs warn
crisis mode. There's lives at stake.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The fallout from the vacant property tax notice issue continues at City Hall.
Politicians continue to try to figure out how the mix-up happened and what can be done to make sure it never happens again. CTV's Natalie Johnson has more.
2 weeks after angry and anxious Torontonians swarmed the civic centers, charged thousands of dollars in incorrect vacant home tax, the mayor is vowing a fix.
The design was fatally flawed, but what we can do is clean up the mess.
That mess now before city councillors who at tomorrow's meeting will look to waive the late fees caused by the confusion and do what they can to say sorry to taxpayers.
It really traumatized our seniors across the city, and I think we owe all our seniors a big apology.
For the 2022 tax year, only 5% of residential homeowners didn't declare their occupancy status. 11,000 vacant home tax bills went out. But 1 year later, 20% didn't submit a declaration. The city then sent out 167,000 bills.
Excuse me, I'm sure anyone can do math. Should only go to 11,000 people? What's going on with the other 150,000? No, that did not work.
The city assumes you don't live in your house until you tell us otherwise. That's a problem with the program top to bottom. It should have been fixed last year.
The mayor now facing a push from some councillors to axe the tax altogether. The administration defending the need to discourage speculators from letting units sit empty.
It is something that is so important as a policy driver. We want
homes in the city of Toronto to be occupied. We know that we have a housing crisis.
The question now is how to salvage the system moving forward.
There are those who declared and still got a bill. There are people that didn't declare either year but suddenly got a bill. And then last but not least, there are those who didn't understand they had to declare every year. And what that means, that screams redesign.
There was no communications around this. There was no professional communications around the vacant home tax, and that's one of the reasons why it failed.
As for the consequences, the mayor only saying,
The person that designed the program is no longer with the city.
A city now scrambling to revisit and revise the tax to ensure the billing blitz doesn't happen again. Natalie Johnson, CTV News.
For the first time in more than 100 years, a private citizen has been admonished by the House of Commons. A partner of a company that worked on the controversial ArriveCan app appeared today after refusing to answer certain questions at a committee hearing.
Today, media reports that Mr. Firth's property was raided by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. What crime are they investigating?
Mr. Firth. Mr. Speaker, that's correct. There was a search warrant, not an arrest warrant, for my property to obtain electronic goods surrounding the Butler allegations.
The Butler allegation was raised by an AI firm that did not work on the ArriveCan app, but expressed concern to authorities about related contracting practices. Today, Christian Firth said he does not know what police took during the search because he was not there. Firth's company, GC Strategies, was chosen by the federal government to assemble a team to complete some parts of the ArriveCan project. It had an estimated cost of $60 million, but the Auditor General said she could not determine the actual cost due to a lack of accurate financial records.
17 people were killed in a Russian missile attack in a city in northern Ukraine today. 60 people were injured in 3 explosions in a central area of Chernihiv. A hotel was destroyed, several multi-story residential buildings, a hospital, and an education facility were damaged. The city is about 150 kilometers from Kyiv. President Volodymyr Zelensky called for allies to provide more support, saying the attack would not have happened if Ukraine had received sufficient air defense equipment.
The United Nations is appealing for $2.8 billion to help Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. The UN says this funding will assist more than 3 million people until the end of the year. Much of the money will go to preventing famine, but officials stress in addition to food, sanitation, and water, health facilities are needed. The United Nations insists massive operations are required but can't be done during military operations. It says aid deliveries still face obstacles despite some improvement in coordination with Israel.
In New York, the United Nations Security Council is scheduled to vote Friday on a Palestinian request for full UN membership. Council member Algeria put forward the draft resolution, but the United States is expected to vote no. If the resolution passed, it would effectively recognize a Palestinian state. The U.S. has said establishing an independent Palestinian state should happen through direct negotiations between the parties and not at the United Nations.
In Indonesia, more than 11,000 people were ordered to leave the area after a volcano erupted. There were at least 5 large eruptions in the past 24 hours, and the highest alert level is in place. Authorities urged tourists and others to stay at least 6 kilometers from the 725-meter Wang volcano. At least 800 residents left the area earlier today. They're being relocated to the nearest city on the island, a 6-hour journey by boat.
Fire crews in Copenhagen worked to put out remaining hotspots today after a blaze at the city's stock exchange building. Yesterday's fire destroyed half of the 400-year-old building and toppled its spire. The blaze was believed to have started on the roof during renovations, but the cause remains unclear. No injuries were reported. The complete extent of the damage is still unknown, but the owner says the iconic landmark will be rebuilt. The building no longer houses the stock exchange, but serves as the Chamber of Commerce headquarters.
Coming up, the TDSB in a multi-million-dollar predicament, grappling with a budget shortfall, unsure how to balance the books, as the province says they've been given plenty.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, there are many loyalty programs to collect points, rewards, and free coffees. But a popular program run by McDonald's was recently discontinued, leaving some customers with hundreds of coffee vouchers that are now worthless. I'll have my reports just ahead.
And all the rain and the wind has brought us below the seasonal norm of right around 13 degrees just for today. A warm up is on the way, but we don't get rid of the rain fully until the end of the week. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long range forecast. And stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
Many companies offer loyalty programs that allow you to collect rewards towards free flights, gift cards, or a tank of gas.
McDonald's has a rewards program allowing customers to get free coffees, but it recently came to an end, surprising some customers. Pat Foran has our story on Consumer Alert. Pat.
It did, Nathan and Michelle. Thank you. Viewers have been contacting us saying they were caught off guard when McDonald's ended its coffee rewards program. But the restaurant says it gave customers plenty of notice. With many points programs, it's good to use them before you lose them.
416 cards worth of what used to be free coffees that are zero value right now.
Vinny Del Luca of Toronto has been collecting McCafe reward cards for years. For every 7 coffees purchased, you would get enough stickers for a free one. But when Del Luca recently tried to redeem one of her cards, she was told the program was over.
They told me that they were no longer acceptable, they were expired. There's no expiry date on them.
We have a lot of these cards, like a lot.
Catherine Shook of Brooklyn says she, her husband, and 5 children have also been collecting McCafe reward cards for many years. They were also surprised to be told the 80 free coffee cards they have now have no value.
We know you purchased almost 600 coffees and you have these little cards, but too bad.
CTV News reached out to McDonald's and the company said McCafe Rewards has been replaced with the more generous My McDonald's Reward program. A spokesperson said, "We understand some guests were disappointed by the discontinuation of the on-cup McCafe Reward sticker program. Guests were given notice in May 2022 through a variety of communication channels. Completed sticker cards could be redeemed on or before December 31st, 2023.
We always say, as soon as you can use them, use them.
Rewards Canada, a website that monitors loyalty offerings, says while holding on to points in some programs can lead to larger rewards, with others it's better to use them as soon as you can.
With these food and coffee programs, as soon as you get a reward, redeem for it. There, like I said, there's no real value in holding on to them.
That's what Shook plans to do from now on.
Don't hold on to things. Don't save things. Use them while you have them.
DeLuca feels she deserves something for the coffees she had hoped to redeem.
To be able to get my coffees that I should have been entitled to.
And we've also been hearing from many Tim Hortons customers who thought they won a new boat and trailer today in the Roll Up the Rim contest. But Tim Hortons blamed a technical glitch and said they did not win the boat and apologized for the mistake. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Ahead of tonight's school board meeting, trustees at the TDSB are calling on the province to help address funding challenges at the board.
Trustees warn without help to address the budget crunch, the board may be facing cuts. CTV's Janice Golding reports.
Hours before tonight's Toronto District School Board meeting, trustees and community members voiced their concerns about a projected budget shortfall.
These funding shortfalls continue to jeopardize our ability to provide TDSB students with the breadth and depth of programs that they deserve.
The projected deficit, $26.5 million for the 2024 fiscal year. This at a time the board says it is also grappling with a massive structural deficit, which has already necessitated cuts to programs and services.
Insufficient funding means overcrowded classrooms, less individualized support, and cuts to enrichment programs that allow students to explore interest beyond core academics.
Programs including the arts and extracurriculars, as well as general interest, seniors, and international language courses.
Programs like these have been proven to reduce social isolation and improve mental and physical health, especially among older participants.
When asked about the projected deficit today, the Education Minister stressed the government's expectation of the board, a balanced budget.
The message to TDSB is they have $100 million plus more dollars and 10,000 fewer students. They need to exercise leadership and actually get back to the basics of education in Ontario classrooms.
In a letter to Stephen Lecce today, the TDSB's chair acknowledged that the ministry has provided the board with $130 million in extra funding since 2019, while enrollment has declined slightly, but added,
the increase in per pupil funding has been 8.5%, which sounds really good, until you learn that inflation over the very same period of time was 13.8%, resulting in an actual reduction in per pupil funding.
Rachel Turnos-Lynn also pointed out that over the same time period, trustees made $65 million in reductions and voted just last month to cut another $17 million, highlighting to the minister that there are limited areas for further reductions. Janice Golding, CTV News.
All right, to the forecast, it wasn't a washout, but it was kind of on and off this rain today.
Lots of rain to think about. The kids at recess today, raincoats, boots. Some kids love it. I don't know. We adults, we don't like it so much, especially with the wind.
It was just one of those days where it wasn't super pleasant to spend a lot of time outside. The wind was the bigger issue. Even when the rain was a little bit lighter, it really made it less than stellar to spend any time outdoors. And it unfortunately continues as we wrap up our day today, but there is a break on the way. Weather is brought to you by Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train. Now, temperature-wise, we haven't been wildly below seasonal, but that brisk easterly wind has really made it feel quite cool out there, very damp. Temperature-wise, though, we've held on to a lot of the warmth in towards Windsor. They're still sitting at 16. Really, across the province, we're not too far above or below the seasonal mark, but the wind has really made it feel quite yucky outside, for lack of a better technical term. We're sitting at 9 tonight for the low. We should be at 4, so we're holding on to a lot of that mugginess that we built up throughout the last kind of 12 to 24 hours. Into the day tomorrow, back above seasonal. We build up some of that warmth again. We still watch for showers in the early morning hours, and then it tapers off, and we just have kind of a gray day ahead of us. We have a line of showers that was impacting us, another one on the way as we kind of head towards midnight, and then after that, we do get a little bit of a break, but thanks to a series of lows making their way in, a little snow to the north, a little rain to the south, not a great day regardless. As we head in towards the rest of our evening, that second band of showers, heavy at times, along with the risk of thunderstorms, comes in around 11 p.m. And then we get to the start of the day tomorrow, and there's a little drizzle, but we're watching for more of just a really gray day with the chance of maybe a pop-up shower. As we head in towards our Friday morning, that we watch for another round of rain, but by the time we get to Friday afternoon, right around 2 o'clock, a lot of that pushes out, and we see some late day sunshine. This carries us into our weekend. So not a wash of a second half of the week. Today wasn't great. We get another little dose as we head in towards Friday, and then a bit of a reprieve. Temperature-wise, we get back above seasonal. Still really muggy feeling outside because we don't really get any lift from that cloud cover. We hold on to a lot of that warmth. We see a daytime high tomorrow right around 17, a low of 8. Getting into Friday a little closer to that seasonal mark, that chance of showers, again, really early on. Then it pushes out, and that sunshine just in time for your Friday afternoon and Friday evening. We're looking at a little cloud cover and a little cooler as we kick off the weekend, shy of seasonal for the high and the low, but we rebound just in time for Sunday, a sunny Sunday. It's really, really nice. And then as we get in towards next week, even with the chance of showers, heading into Tuesday, overall, it's not bad as we tiptoe in towards kind of the end of April, and we are in cherry blossom season, so all the parks in the city are going to be looking pretty nice thanks to all this rain. Nathan, I'll send things back to you.
All right, thank you, Jess.
Thanks.
Also tonight, give once, get twice the impact. An anonymous donor is matching donations to the Canadian Cancer Society to close out Daffodil Month. The details in moments. April is Daffodil Month, an early spring flower signifying hope to cancer patients.
In a move that could help grow research potential in this country, an anonymous donor has stepped up to match all donations to the Canadian Cancer Society for the rest of this month. Here's our health reporter, Pauline Chan.
It's not the first time the Canadian Cancer Society has had an anonymous donor, but it always helps.
The match starts on April 17, so it's up to donations up to 170,000 or up to April 30.
For every dollar donated from now to the end of the month, the donor will match it, and Barbaro Acampado-Kay says Canadians have every reason to be generous.
Nearly half of Canadians will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. Donating to Canadian Cancer Society will help fund world-leading cancer research. It will also fund critical support programs, such as, our lodges. We have Wheels of Hope driving program that can help people affected by cancer to get to their destination for appointments. And it can also help with advocacy, like helping shape public policies.
Natalie Wild knows how vital those research dollars are. If her husband had been diagnosed with prostate cancer a decade earlier, his chances of having 5 extra years with his family wouldn't have been so great.
They had suggested he could have passed as soon as a year or 2.
Wow.
So he went through numerous forms of treatment at amazing hospitals here in Canada, and so much of it was as a result of the funding that we contribute to the Canadian Cancer Society every day.
And while the days of selling daffodil flowers are gone, daffodil pins have become the campaign's new symbol.
It takes donors, it takes researchers and family members. And when everybody is able to give a little bit more of themselves and be there for one another, it's so heartwarming to know that when you're going through this journey, you're not alone.
You can make a donation or get a daffodil pin at cancer.ca with donations matched through April 30th. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
As a rare neurological condition keeps Celine Dion from returning to the concert stage, she's preparing to share a project billed as a love letter to her fans. The Canadian music icon previously revealed plans to appear in a documentary touching on her battle with stiff person syndrome. This week, the singer shared a first look at I Am Celine Dion alongside a streaming debut date of June 25th.
While last year's Hollywood strike had a major impact on film and TV production here in Canada, the Writers Guild of Canada could soon walk off the job themselves. The union represents more than 2,500 screenwriters in this country and is holding a strike authorization vote over the coming days. The WGC and Canadian Media Producers Association have been engaged in talks for months now. CTV News has asked both sides about the sticking points in a potential deal.
And the Writers Guild of America says its members at the Sesame Workshop have voted unanimously to authorize a strike against the nonprofit organization. The 35 writers for Sesame Street and related titles would stop working as soon as Friday when their current contract expires. A Sesame Workshop spokesperson said they were confident a deal can be reached.
Shakira is going on tour with her new album. The singer's latest album released in March. Its title, in Spanish, translates to Women No Longer Cry. Following a surprise appearance at Coachella, Shakira set a series of concert dates across North America, including Toronto. She'll be at Scotiabank Arena November 30th.
After the break, the Leafs prepare to break the ice in Boston for the opening round of the NHL playoffs, while Austin Matthews takes one last shot at 70 goals.
But these criminals thought they were more sophisticated than police. They were wrong.
Updating our top stories, police make a series of arrests in connection with Canada's largest gold theft, but finding the gold may be a different story. So far, investigators have only recovered a fraction of the stolen gold.
Get ready to pay more at the pumps. The price of gas is due to rise 14 cents overnight. It will see drivers paying more for fuel than they have at any point since August of 2022.
My first reaction is obviously surprise because none of us, I don't think anybody saw anything like this coming.
And Jontay Porter's NBA career is over. Today, the league announced a lifetime ban for the Raptors' two-way player. He's accused of betting on his own team to lose, as well as faking injury or illness for the purpose of betting.
Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you ever have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know.
Former Finance Minister Bill Morneau is adding to the chorus of opposition from business groups over the Trudeau government's plan to raise the capital gains tax. BNN Bloomberg's Amber Canwar has the latest in business.
Bill Morneau said today that when he was finance minister, he rejected the idea of raising the capital gains tax due to concerns that it would hurt economic growth and cause uncertainty for investors. Meanwhile, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives endorsed the move, saying that the tax increase will raise nearly $20 billion over the next 5 years and is only going to be paid for by the top 0.13% of Canadians. That's about 40,000 people. This is very much in line with recent messaging from the Liberal government, calling on the wealthy to pay higher taxes as it tries to shore up flagging support amid young voters. Now let's take a look at the closing market numbers. The Canadian dollar edged up modestly to around 72 cents U.S., while U.S. oil prices slipped to around $82 per barrel. Canadian energy prices, meanwhile, advanced up modestly to around $72 per barrel. And it was a tepid day on the TSX, though we did edge out some gains around 13 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Amber Canwar in the BNN Bloomberg Newsroom.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
It's never fun to forget your belongings in the backseat of a rideshare, but Uber is once again sharing some insights on everyone that happened to over the last year. The company's 2024 Lost and Found Index found that clothes, bags, and headphones were the items most commonly left behind in vehicles. The country's most forgetful cities were Montreal, Saskatoon, and Winnipeg, although Hamilton, Toronto, and Niagara made it into the top 10. New Year's Day and Halloween weekend ranked as the most forgetful dates.
Slippery roads at Tesla as the electric automaker tries to resolve a challenge to CEO Elon Musk's pay. Musk signed a compensation package in 2018 worth $56 billion U.S. But a number of Tesla shareholders filed suit, and a Delaware judge voided the deal this year. The judge found Musk's ties to the board made the process unfair. Tesla is asking shareholders to ratify the pay package again, saying the stock has gone up 571% since the start of the deal, and Musk hasn't been paid for that time. Musk remains Tesla's largest shareholder. The matter comes up for a vote in June.
Austin Matthews' quest for 70 goals continues tonight.
The team lost last night's game, which means they will now face Boston in the first round of the playoffs. The stage is being set for the tailgate party in Maple Leaf Square ahead of an Original Six showdown in the first round of the playoffs against the Bruins.
It's going to be a tough series, but I think we can beat Boston for sure.
Leafs Nation hasn't forgotten about previous first-round exits at the hands of Boston in 2018 and 2019, and that epic Game 7 collapse in 2013. But fans are optimistic this year will be different.
I think they're a heavier team. They're very balanced. I think they can beat them in different ways. So you've got your skill, you got your speed, you got a great back end.
The Bruins have owned the Leafs in the regular season. TSN Radio's Matt Caus knows this will be a tough series for the Buds.
This is a Bruins team that has certainly had the Maple Leafs number. Former Bruin Tyler Bertuzzi is now a Maple Leaf. That's going to be an interesting storyline. Toronto is certainly stronger and bigger than they've been in the past. It'll still come down to, again, can they score later on in a playoff series, something we haven't seen from this team in ages.
Tonight, all eyes will be on Austin Matthews, who could score his 70th goal. But questions are swirling over whether the Leafs superstar should rest in the last regular season game.
He's going to get it. Let's get this 70 goals. I think it's historic. I think he should go for it for sure. A lot of people debating whether he should rest or not. I think they should play him.
I'd say you put him out there. 70 is a big milestone. It's first time in 30 years. You got to risk it.
If Matthews does score his 70th goal, he'll be the 9th player in NHL history to do so and first in over 30 years.
Meanwhile, the Blue Jays were looking to sweep the New York Yankees at Rogers Center this afternoon.
This one towards the right field corner. It is caught out there by Soto. Kiermaier's going to tag. He'll come in to score. Springer to third.
Bo Bichette's sacrifice fly in the 7th inning made it 4-1 Toronto, but New York stormed back to take a 6-4 lead in the 9th, and that was all they needed. The Jays begin a series in San Diego on Friday.
Canadian Olympians will perform well at the Paris Games this summer. That's according to analytics. Canada's projected to win a total of 22 medals, including 6 gold. That prediction comes from Nielsen's Grace Note Sports. It supplies analysis for leagues around the world and tracks major competitions involving Olympic sports leading up to the Games. Canada won 24 medals at the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. By a strange stroke of luck, 500 Newfoundlanders wound up on the same Caribbean cruise ship, and they certainly had a time. That story just ahead.
Tonight, new revelations in a historic heist at Canada's biggest airport.
The largest gold heist in Canadian history.
Charges laid, gold, cash, and firearms seized. The search for more suspects later on CTV National News.
And a reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a hello there to those of you listening on the road to the newscast live on News Talk 1010. A Caribbean cruise turned into a Newfoundland kitchen party when hundreds of people from the Rock ended up booked on the same ship.
Everyone had flags, so of course if they saw your flag on the beach chair, everyone would stop and say, "Oh, what part of Newfoundland are you from?"
Lynn Rendell was among 500 Newfoundlanders on board the vessel this month. She says some of the other passengers seem to be really interested in the group of people from Canada's East Coast. In fact, some tried to take selfies with as many of them as possible.
That looks like fun. So what about tonight? More rain expected?
More rain. Another wave, a bit heavier coming through just before midnight, and then we get a break. But when we get a break from the rain, we see a little bit of fog. So just be careful if you're driving anywhere this evening. We're going to see that roll in tonight, and stick around for the start of the day tomorrow. We do get a bit of a break from the showers as we head in towards our Thursday, but we're not done with the rain just yet. For now, still relatively mild. We're sitting at 11 through Niagara, 16 in Windsor, 7 here in the city, and 10 out through Ottawa. Again, we've seen kind of one wave go through. There's that other one just off to the southwest of us, and it will impact us tonight. But even into the day tomorrow, we get back up above seasonal. So maybe not patio weather, but hey, it's pretty nice out there still.
Thank you, Jessica. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and all of us here at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a great night.